The rise and fall of Tony Lopez. How one of TikTok's biggest stars lost the internet's trust. The brothers who seemed unstoppable. There was a time when it felt almost impossible to open TikTok without seeing the Lopez brothers. A trending song would begin. The camera would start moving. And within seconds, Tony and Andres Lopez would appear on the screen. Dancing, smiling, repeating choreography that millions of viewers would soon attempt themselves. Their videos were short, simple, and perfectly designed for a platform that rewarded immediate attention. For a brief period, Tony Lopez appeared to have everything. Millions of followers, a place inside the hype house, celebrity friendships, brand opportunities, recognition from fans around the world. He had become one of the defining faces of TikTok's first great explosion. But the internet does not remember every star in the same way. Some creators become respected entertainers. Some successfully build businesses beyond the platform. And some become warnings about how quickly online fame can collapse. Within a relatively short period, the conversation surrounding Tony changed completely. The dance videos were no longer the main story. The glamorous lifestyle was no longer what audiences wanted to discuss. Instead, serious allegations began circulating online. A civil lawsuit followed. Sponsors and collaborators faced difficult questions. And millions of viewers started looking back at Tony's rise through an entirely different lens. The platform that had made him famous was now documenting his fall in real time. This is not simply a story about a TikTok dancer. It is a story about influence, responsibility, power, and what can happen when a young creator becomes enormously famous before anyone has taught him how to handle the consequences. This is the rise, the controversy, and the transformation of Tony Lopez. Before the fame. Tony Lopez was born on August 19, 1999, and grew up in Las Vegas, Nevada. Long before the expensive houses, the red carpet appearances, and the millions of followers, Tony was known primarily for one thing: dance. His older brother, Andres, shared the same passion. Together, the brothers practiced routines, studied choreography, and performed whenever they found an opportunity. Dance gave them confidence. It gave them an identity. And eventually, it gave them a path into a completely new type of celebrity. Before TikTok became the dominant force it is today, short-form video was still developing. Creators were experimenting. Audiences were learning how to consume content in smaller and smaller pieces. Music, movement, and visual personality became some of the easiest ways to capture attention. The Lopez brothers were perfectly positioned for that environment. They were young, energetic, comfortable in front of a camera, and they understood something that many traditional entertainers initially missed. On TikTok, a creator did not need a full television episode to become memorable. Sometimes, 15 seconds was enough. The perfect platform, the perfect moment. When TikTok began expanding rapidly in the United States, Tony and Andres started uploading dance videos. The concepts were rarely complicated. They performed popular routines, added their own style, used trending music, and created the kind of clips viewers could watch repeatedly without much effort. The brothers also had something that was difficult to manufacture: chemistry. They looked comfortable together. Their performances felt natural. Fans did not see two strangers forced into a collaboration. They saw brothers sharing the same ambition. That relationship became part of the appeal. Viewers copied their movements. Young dancers studied their routines. Fan pages appeared. Compilation videos spread across other platforms. Every successful upload created momentum for the next one. Thousands of followers became hundreds of thousands. Then, hundreds of thousands became millions. The growth happened so quickly that the brothers were entering an entirely new life before they had much time to understand it. One day, they were performers hoping to be noticed. Not long afterwards, they were among the most recognizable young creators on the internet. The Hype House era. The next major turning point came when Tony and Andres became associated with the Hype House. The Hype House was more than a physical mansion. It represented an entire era of social media. Young creators lived together, filmed together, appeared in one another's videos, and shared audiences. A single collaboration could introduce someone to millions of new viewers. The collective included some of the largest names from TikTok's early American boom. Charli D'Amelio, Dixie D'Amelio, Addison Rae, Jace Hudson, Avani Gregg, Thomas Petru, and the Lopez brothers. For viewers, the house looked like a never-ending party. For creators, it was a content factory. Every room could become a filming location. Every friendship could become a collaboration. Every gathering could produce dozens of videos. Tony's presence inside that world accelerated his growth. He was no longer only one half of a dancing duo from Las Vegas. He was now connected to a powerful network of creators who dominated recommendation pages. His follower count climbed dramatically. Fans began recognizing him in public. Brands saw access to a large and highly engaged young audience. Tony had reached the part of online fame that appears almost magical from the outside. He could upload a short dance, and millions of people would watch. The dream sold by social media. Tony's public life began to resemble the fantasy promoted by influencer culture. Luxury homes, designer clothing, expensive cars, exclusive events, large parties, constant attention. Young viewers looked at that lifestyle and saw freedom. No traditional office, no fixed schedule, no ordinary career. Just music, friends, travel, and money generated from a phone. But the image concealed a more complicated reality. Creators in that environment were not simply having fun. They were building businesses around their identities. Their faces were products. Their friendships produced engagement. Their private lives generated content. And their ability to remain visible determined their value. There was enormous pressure to continue uploading, to keep participating in trends, to remain connected to more popular creators, and to give audiences constant access. For Tony, that access would eventually become one of the most important parts of his downfall. Because internet celebrity creates an unusual relationship between a public figure and the people following them. Fans can send messages directly. Creators can reply privately. The distance between celebrity and audience can disappear almost completely. And when much of that audience is young, the responsibility becomes even greater. The first signs of trouble. As Tony became more famous, controversies began appearing around him. Old social media posts resurfaced. Private messages were shared publicly. Commentary channels started investigating claims made by users who said they had interacted with him. At first, some fans treated the controversies as another temporary cycle of online drama. TikTok creators were being criticized almost every week. One scandal would trend, followed immediately by another. Many fans assumed the conversation would eventually disappear. But the claims surrounding Tony were becoming more serious. They were no longer about an unpopular joke, a poorly planned party, or a disagreement between influencers. Some users accused him of exchanging sexually explicit messages with young fans. Others questioned whether he had verified the ages of people he contacted. Screenshots circulated online. Videos analyzing the claims received millions of views. Tony responded to some of the criticism by saying that people had lied to him about their ages. He also indicated that he had stopped certain interactions after learning the truth. But those statements did not end the discussion. Instead, they created new questions. How carefully had he checked? What responsibility did a major creator have when interacting privately with young followers? And did fame create a power imbalance that Tony had failed to recognize? When online claims became a legal case asterisk. In January 2021, the situation moved beyond ordinary social media controversy. Two anonymous teenage plaintiffs filed a civil lawsuit against Tony Lopez. The lawsuit alleged that Tony had used his fame and influence to pursue inappropriate interactions with them while they were underage. The plaintiffs accused him of conduct including grooming, soliciting explicit images, and sexual misconduct. They also alleged that Tony was aware of their ages during important parts of the interactions. These were allegations presented in a civil complaint. They were not by themselves a criminal conviction. Tony denied the central claims. Through a representative, he said the allegations were untrue. He denied requesting explicit photographs from the plaintiffs. He denied knowingly engaging in sexual activity with someone who had told him she was underage. He described the lawsuit as an attempt to obtain money and said he intended to fight it. The competing accounts were now part of a formal legal dispute. But on the internet, the distinction between allegations, evidence, denials, and final legal findings was often lost. Headlines traveled faster than court proceedings. Reaction videos appeared immediately. Former fans expressed anger. Supporters defended Tony. Others waited for more information. Whatever the final legal outcome might be, the damage to his public reputation had already begun. The internet puts a star on trial. Social media is not a courtroom. It has no judge, no consistent rules of evidence, no requirement to wait until all sides have been examined. Instead, public opinion forms through fragments. A screenshot, a short statement, a headline, a reaction clip, a creator's emotional response. People make decisions quickly, often before the complete facts are available. In Tony's case, millions of viewers had already seen the allegations before many understood the details of the lawsuit. Some people immediately declared him guilty. Others dismissed the plaintiffs without knowing them. Both reactions demonstrated the same problem. The internet prefers simple conclusions. Victim or liar, innocent or guilty, hero or villain. But legal disputes, human behavior, and personal responsibility are rarely simple. Tony's denial mattered. The allegations also deserved to be treated seriously. For brands and collaborators, the situation created an enormous risk. Even without a criminal conviction, his public identity had become attached to claims that were completely incompatible with the youthful audience that had made him famous. The collapse of the original image asterisk. Before the controversy, Tony's public image was easy to understand. He was a dancer, a hype house star, one of two charismatic brothers who had become famous together. After the lawsuit, that image was almost impossible to preserve. Every new upload attracted comments about the allegations. Every attempt to return to normal content reminded viewers of what had happened. Old dance videos were reinterpreted. Former fans said they felt betrayed. Commentary channels continued following developments. Tony still had millions of followers. But follower count alone could no longer measure the health of his career. Attention is not the same as trust. A person can remain famous while losing the audience's willingness to support them. That was the position Tony increasingly faced. His name was still recognized, but recognition had become connected to controversy. The end of the TikTok fairy tale. Tony's story also reflected the decline of a particular TikTok era. The Hype House had once seemed like the center of the internet. Its members dominated trends. Fans followed their friendships and relationships almost like a television series. But the original excitement could not last forever. Creators left. Friendships changed. New collectives appeared. Audiences matured. TikTok's culture moved forward. The platform produced a new generation of stars. For some former Hype House members, the transition opened the door to larger careers. Charli D'Amelio expanded into television and brand partnerships. Addison Rae pursued acting and music. Other members developed businesses, podcasts, or long-form content. Tony's transition was much more difficult. The controversy had not simply interrupted his momentum. It had changed what his name represented. The silence after extreme fame. One of the strangest experiences for an internet celebrity is watching attention disappear. During Tony's peak, millions of people reacted to every movement. A new hairstyle became content. A dance became a trend. A photograph became entertainment news. But online attention is temporary. Algorithms reward whatever is new. Audiences constantly search for unfamiliar faces. Yesterday's superstar can quickly become someone viewers vaguely remember. As Tony became less central to TikTok culture, his absence created a new type of curiosity. People began asking, whatever happened to Tony Lopez? Some assumed he had disappeared completely. Others encountered occasional posts and were surprised that he was still active. But his reduced visibility did not necessarily mean he had left the internet. It meant the scale of attention had changed. The difference between existing online and dominating online is enormous. Tony had experienced both. The lawsuit reaches a settlement. The civil case did not remain unresolved forever. In March 2024, the law firm representing the plaintiffs announced that the lawsuit had reached a settlement. The firm described the resolution as an amicable settlement between Tony and the plaintiffs. A settlement is not the same as a trial verdict. It does not automatically establish every allegation as proven. It also does not erase the claims that led to the case. Settlements can occur for many reasons: avoiding the cost of prolonged litigation, reducing uncertainty, protecting privacy, or bringing a dispute to an end without continuing through a public trial. The publicly available announcement did not transform the case into a simple story of complete victory for either side. But it did close the lawsuit through an agreed resolution. For Tony, the legal dispute may have reached an endpoint. The reputational consequences were far more difficult to resolve. Can a creator ever fully return? The internet frequently demands apologies, accountability, and change, but it rarely agrees on what meaningful change should look like. How long should someone step away? What actions demonstrate genuine responsibility? Can trust be rebuilt after serious allegations? And who decides when a person has earned another opportunity? Tony's situation made those questions especially difficult. The allegations involved young fans and the power associated with celebrity. That meant many former viewers did not see the controversy as ordinary influencer drama. For them, there was no entertaining comeback narrative. There was only a permanent loss of trust. Others believed people should be judged carefully based on verified evidence rather than online assumptions. The disagreement remains part of a larger debate surrounding public figures accused of misconduct. But from a career perspective, one fact was clear: Tony never regained the central position he held during TikTok's earliest boom. The responsibility that comes with influence. Tony Lopez became famous at a remarkably young age. He entered a system that rewarded attention, without necessarily teaching creators how to manage power. TikTok gave him direct access to millions of people. Many of them were teenagers. Some were even younger. That type of influence creates obligations. A creator must establish boundaries, verify who they are communicating with, understand that private interactions can carry enormous consequences, and recognize that fans may not experience the relationship as equal. A famous creator may believe a conversation is casual. A young follower may see it as attention from an idol. The imbalance can make ordinary rules of responsibility even more important. Fame does not remove accountability. It increases it. The brotherhood behind the brand. Tony's rise had always been connected to Andre's. Together, they were the Lopez brothers. They shared choreography, audiences, opportunities, and a public identity. But controversy affecting one member of a duo inevitably affects the other. Fans began examining their relationship. People questioned whether collaborators had known about Tony's private behavior. The lawsuit also generated discussion about the responsibilities of the larger creator environment surrounding him. How much should a collective monitor its members? What obligations do managers, house leaders, and collaborators have when serious concerns arise? The Hype House model was designed for rapid content growth. It was not built like a traditional entertainment company with decades of formal safeguards. Young creators were living and working together, often making major business and personal decisions with limited experience. Tony's case exposed the weaknesses of that environment. The house could create fame, but it could not guarantee maturity. The culture that created HIM. It would be easy to present Tony's story as the failure of one individual. But his rise also reveals important problems within influencer culture. Platforms rewarded creators for being constantly available. Fans were encouraged to feel personally connected to people they had never met. Management teams rushed to monetize young stars. Brands pursued engagement before fully understanding the creators representing them. Everyone benefited while the numbers increased. Followers, views, sponsorships, merchandise, appearances. But when serious allegations emerged, the system often behaved as though the creator had always acted alone. That does not remove Tony's personal responsibility for his choices. It does show that his career developed inside an industry that expanded faster than its safeguards. The early TikTok world created celebrities almost overnight. It did not always prepare them for what came next. Where is Tony Lopez now? Tony has continued maintaining a presence on social media. He has posted photographs and videos, and he still retains a large number of followers accumulated during his peak. But the meaning of those numbers has changed. He is no longer one of the dominant faces shaping TikTok culture every day. He is not constantly featured beside the platform's newest stars. His dance videos no longer create the same level of global excitement. To describe him as completely missing would be inaccurate. He did not vanish from the internet. Instead, he moved from the center of attention to its edges. That distinction is important. Many former viral stars continue posting for years. But without the algorithmic momentum, the major collaborations, and the audience's original enthusiasm, their careers feel almost invisible compared with their peak. Tony's decline was not a single moment when every follower disappeared. It was a gradual transformation. From a star everyone discussed, to a creator many people remembered mainly because of controversy. Fame without trust. Tony Lopez's journey demonstrates that online success is built from more than views. A creator can buy expensive clothing, live in a famous mansion, attend exclusive events, and accumulate tens of millions of followers. But those things cannot guarantee trust. Trust is slower to build than fame, and much easier to destroy. The viral videos made Tony visible. The Hype House made him influential. But the allegations and lawsuit changed how people interpreted that influence. His career became a reminder that audiences do not only evaluate what a creator produces. They also evaluate how that creator behaves when the camera appears to be off. The danger of thinking the internet is private. Creators often forget that almost nothing online remains private forever. Messages can be saved. Screenshots can resurface. Accounts can be investigated. Statements made years earlier can return at the worst possible moment. Tony's story demonstrates the danger of assuming private communication will remain hidden. But the lesson is deeper than simply avoiding exposure. The most important question is not, could this become public? It is, Should this behavior be happening at all? When someone has a young audience, boundaries cannot depend on whether a screenshot exists. Responsibility must exist before the interaction begins. What is story TACHES future creators? For aspiring influencers, Tony's rise can still appear attractive. He transformed dance videos into global recognition. He found an audience without needing a traditional entertainment company to introduce him. He proved that a phone's talent, timing, and consistent content could change a person's life. But his downfall offers the more important lesson. Visibility creates power. Power requires judgment. And judgment becomes most important when dealing with fans who are younger, less experienced, or emotionally invested in the creator. A large follower count should never be interpreted as permission to ignore boundaries. Celebrity does not make questionable behavior safer. It makes the consequences larger. The person behind the headlines. It is possible to discuss the seriousness of the allegations, while remembering that Tony Lopez remains a human being. He was extremely young when he became famous. His life changed with almost no preparation. He was placed inside a system that encouraged constant visibility, instant gratification, and endless validation. Those circumstances may help explain the environment around his choices. They do not excuse harmful conduct if it occurred. Understanding is not the same as removing accountability. A mature examination of his story must hold both ideas at once. Tony was a young creator navigating sudden fame. And young creators are still responsible for respecting boundaries and protecting the people who follow them. The internet never offers a clean ending. There is no perfect final scene in the story of Tony Lopez. He did not disappear forever. He did not return to the unquestioned popularity of his peak. The civil case ended through settlement rather than a public trial verdict resolving every disputed fact. His social media accounts remain visible. His old videos remain online. Fan edits from his most famous period can still be found. So can the commentary documenting his controversies. The internet preserves both versions of Tony: the dancer who entertained millions, and the public figure accused of misusing access to young fans. Neither image can completely erase the other. The final chapter. So, what really happened to Tony Lopez? He did not lose everything in one dramatic night. His career changed through a sequence of events: sudden fame, unlimited access, poorly defined boundaries, growing allegations, a civil lawsuit, public denial, years of reputational damage, and finally, a legal settlement that ended the case without restoring the world he once occupied. At his peak, Tony represented the dream of TikTok. A young dancer could upload a video from his phone and become globally famous. After the controversy, he represented the danger hidden inside that same dream. Fame can arrive before maturity. Influence can arrive before responsibility. And access to millions of fans can arrive before a creator understands the power imbalance involved. The internet made Tony Lopez famous. But the internet did not force audiences to continue trusting him. That trust depended on something more difficult than choreography: character, judgment, and the ability to understand that followers are not simply numbers on a screen. They are real people. Some of them young, some impressionable, and some placing enormous trust in the creators they admire. Tony Lopez's story is not only about the rise and fall of one TikTok star. It is about an entire era of internet culture. When fame grew faster than responsibility, when teenagers became audiences, creators became celebrities, and private messages became evidence in public controversies. The hype house lights eventually dimmed. The dances stopped dominating every feed. New stars replaced the old ones. But the lesson remains. The internet can give someone an audience overnight. It can give them money, attention, and opportunities they never imagined. But it cannot give them wisdom, And when influence grows faster than judgment, the fall can be just as sudden as the rise. Thank you for listening. And remember, the people we follow online may appear close enough to touch, but fame creates power, even when it arrives through a 15-second video. And whenever power exists, responsibility must come with it.